Hello students, welcome Hoshamdeed and Hoshkaldinis. Today we are going to discuss Expressionism. Yes, we are going to discuss another modernist philosophy and other modernist movement, that is Expressionism. As I have already discussed with you the other movement related to that, Impressionism. When we talk about Expressionism, in easy words we can define it as Post-Impressionism. Expressionism, in simple words, is Post-Impressionism. Again, it's an art movement, and its roots can be traced in the works of post-impressionist artists like Edvard Munch from Norway, and also in the works of Gustav Klimt. With the advent of time and with the arrival of new century, there came many transitions in Europe, and there also came many new ideologies. Rather, many new ideologies emerged out of the influence of so many things happening on that time in Europe. Well, out of the influence of all those newly emerging philosophies and art styles, many of the artists inspired and they resisted the previous notions, and they started following, or they started leading towards some new dimensions of artworks, and the expressionism is also a result of those advancements, those artistic advancements, in simple words. New technologies and massive urbanization had made a great impact on the individual's view regarding the world and different phenomena of this world, means the modern world. New technologies also made some psychological effects on the minds of artists, and these artists reflected the psychological impact of the developments of these developments like urbanization and technological advancements in their paintings and in their sketches. Artists were simply moving from the realistic representations, and hence the roots of Expressionism can be traced to certain post Impressionist works. These works are vibrant and emotionally charged, and they open the new possibilities for the introspective expression. The term expressionism is thought to have been coined in and around 1910, and it was coined by an art historian, Antonian Magic. He intended it to denote the opposite of impressionism. In other words, we can say, or we can define it, or we can explain it like that. Whereas the impressionists sought to express the majesty of nature and the human form through paint, the expressionists, according to Magic, sought only to express inner life, often via the painting of harsh and realistic subject matter. Let's talk about the significance or the emergence of expressionism in literature, or let's talk about the expressionist literature. In literature, expressionism is normally considered as a revolt against naturalism and realism. It aims to achieve the psychological and spiritual reality rather than the records of external events and logical happenings of the world. For example, in the novel, the term is closely allied to the writings of Franz Kafka and James Joyce, particularly in terms of his use of stream of consciousness. In drama, Strindberg is considered the forefather of the Expressionist literature. However, the term is specifically applied to a group of early 20th century writers. When we explain or when we try to trace the features of expressionist literature or expressionism in English literature, then we have come to know that it's a very complicated movement. It's a complex movement because expressionism has just both rejected and accepted many elements from many other modernist European intellectual domains. Expressionism inevitably involves a discussion of naturalism, realism, symbolism, neo-romanticism, and impressionism. There are many isms like Marxism and psychoanalysis. They are also under the very aura of expressionism, and expressionists, they just use both of these isms, like both of these philosophies, Marxist philosophy and Freudian philosophies in their works. And those works also fall into the category of the expressionist works. Some of the prominent writers, the ones who can be considered as expressionists are Henrik Ibsen, Bernard Shaw, H.G. Wells, Glassworthy, and D.H. Lawrence. Because all these authors were profoundly aware of the issues, the modernist issues that were creating problems. Those problems were created due to the collision of science, industry, and human instincts and inquisitiveness. Expressionism was one such manifestation of this new awareness in the artists as well as in the writers. Marxism and Freudian influences are also evident in expressionist literature. A large number of modern writers, including some expressionists, consciously or unconsciously presented the Marxian concepts as well as like the concepts of class conflict and the categorization of social classes, and they also consciously or unconsciously they use the Freudian theoretical domains in their works. As we all know that Freud's theoretical ponderings are like on the importance of the subconscious life in determining human motivation and action. So, in the influence of that, the whole lot of expressionist literature shows the repressed sexual elements in man and hence revealing the erotic themes in literature. And this very theme of the repression of the sexual instinct is the favorite theme of some of the 20th century writers like T.H. Lawrence and somehow Henrik Ibsen. We can follow this bent in their works, like the complications, psychological complications, and the influence of Freudian theoretical domains. We can find such type of things in D.H. Lawrence novels, like in his Sons and Lovers, in his Lady Chatterley's Lover. Then another work was there. What was the name? Women in Love. I think this was also one of those works. And when we talk about Henrik Ibsen, we can find this very thing in his play, Ghosts. Well, Dostoevsky and Sternberg, they are also influenced by the expressionist technique in the way that they also try to explore the deep and dark corners of human soul in their writings. Expressionists set out to break through the barriers of the surface reality, find the deepest reality that lies beneath and beyond it. That's why in Expressionist literature, particularly in Expressionist drama, the reality and super reality are freely found mixing in each other. Like they are there, we can find a free mixing of reality and super reality in Expressionist drama. The features of the drama are like characters facing the social situations in terms of morality, economy, and freedom. And the plays also represent the psychological conflicts, repressed emotions, in parallel. Ibsen's dramas are famous for that, and Strindberg's dramas are famous for this type of themes. In the particularly Ibsen's Ghost and Strindberg's The Dream. These are the plays in which we can find the psychological conflicts and the repressed emotions, and there is a world within a world, and this type of themes we can find in both of these plays. Particularly in Strindberg's play The Dream, the daughter of the goddess Indra is showing that kind of belief that humanity is to be pitied and the world is a dream, like it is becoming a nightmare for humanity. In expressionist dramas and literature, situations are represented, rather, situations are also represented in symbolic manners. And individuals are found suffering with modern crises, including the crisis of world wars. So, in expressionist literature, we also find the themes of hollowness and meaninglessness of life, particularly of modern life or the life of a modern man. 20th century's demand for freedom from old, established, and outworn modes of thought and feeling, from intellectual, moral, religious, social, political, and economical formulations of the age, had already been witnessed in the works of almost all the important expressionist European writers. Particularly, expressionists have their own way to represent it, and these writers include, in English literature I'm talking about, these writers include basically this expressionist movement in art and drama. It belonged to Germany, but in English literature I'm focusing on English literature, and the particularly English literary writers, expressionist writers, are Henrik Ibsen, Bernard Shaw, H.G. Wells, Glassworthy, and D.H. Lawrence. So this is all about expressionism, shortly and briefly, and I have tried my best to focus on expressionism in English literature. Thank you so much for today. See you in the next session in some new video with some new ism or with some new topic from the history or from the genres of English literature. Thank you so much for today. Allah Hafiz.